How are you? Hi again. My name is Mauricio Neuber, the coordinator of SHE's, a group of research and study on hypnosis, and means complexity, hypnosis, subjectivity, and semiotics. I hope you are well, and I send you my best to begin our discussion today. Today, in this evening, I'd like to introduce you to the first line of research in our group, the clinical application. And especially because this group, the cheese, was born from our reflections on clinical setting on hypnosis, especially concerning chronic pain. Many years ago, I was working with a patient with a migraine, and I perceived that hypnosis promoted very significant results. In some way, it was not a novelty, because since the times of Mesmer, the age of Mesmer and Puisiger, magnetism, and after it, hypnosis, was used to control pain. But I believe my doctoral study on epistemology, in which I work with hypnosis, lead me to consider many things, because at this time hypnosis was very recognized in many countries. We had yet a lot of work confirming, ratifying that hypnosis were a very good tool to deal with chronic pain. However, the question was how? And again, we face a very, very big challenge, because the results are there, but the explaining is very, very different from the different authors. Gary Elkins, in a recent work, not so recent, almost 10 years, made a study on hypnosis and research, and he found 32 definitions of hypnosis from different researchers. So, which are our field? How can we define it? And how could we explain its actions with a person, a man, a woman, who suffered from chronic pain? And these questions lead me to think a lot of things. First, the modern science is deeply based on Cartesian perspective, which are the difference and the dichotomy at mind and body, or spirit and body. And when we speak about chronic pain, frequently we consider it only from a biological perspective, but it doesn't explain many things. Some psychologists frequently fall in a complicated error when they consider chronic pain as an effect of emotional, cognition, or meaning productions of the life, Of course, this dimension can influence chronic pain, but they are not sufficient, and they almost don't have a connection with biological or even cultural events. So we perceived that a person could have a medical diagnostic to their problem, to his or her problem, but frequently when I speak with him or with her, they reported problems with money, economical problems. They reported problems in their work, their jobs. They reported problems of being isolated from their habitual social bonds. They reported problems on sexuality, body image, religion, and it suggested a multifaceted problem composing a system with chronic pain. Thus, we perceived that when we had a good therapeutic alliance with the person and could apply hypnosis deeply and correctly, many of the things were also treated. And still more, this could be helpful in order to act, to connect again this person with the physicians, the professional, other professional of health, such as physiotherapists, acupuncturists, among others. And then, in some way, we applied the perspective from phenomenology, especially Peirce and Merleau-Ponty phenomenology, in order to consider an holistic perspective of the subject. Thus, we treated this word with the self and not only the chronic pain in itself. And treating the person, we could access many facets of this complex system, and consequently we could obtain good results in work with chronic pain. But again, how to explain it? Which kind of theory of thinking or philosophy could help us to explain it? Of course, there was at this time a very new concept in which health, for example, is bio, psycho, socio, cultural, and spiritual phenomena. And for us, it was still complicated because how these different dimensions could interact among them, what kind of system they could compose, in which situation we could consider a dominance among them. And this was only a broad concept, perhaps a political concept that intended to valorize the different disciplines, but it was not a deep conceptual theory. And thus, we begin to work in a broad perspective, especially from epistemology and philosophical perspective. The first great author that helped us was Milton Erickson, which has a very flexible way to understand human subjectivity, and Edgar Morin. a French philosopher who died recently, unfortunately, with almost 105 years. And Edgar Morin was very interesting, he is very interesting, because he helped us to consider the different dimensions and the modes of articulation. Maurice Merleau-Ponty, the French philosopher of phenomenology, especially concerning his ideas about body and experience. And after that, Charles Sanders Peirce, who is currently the author more studied by us, by ourselves. And when I speak we or us or ourselves, I am speaking about our team. And Charles Peirce, especially through semiotics and phenomenology, is very, very significant to a deep understanding and the multiple facets of this phenomenon. But not only in theory, but especially in conceptions of reality, which is a central question in hypnosis. And more recently, we are working on design, a variation from Peirce semiotics proposed by Professor Farouk Seif in Antioch University in Seattle. Thus, we are currently developing this methodology, or inquiry methodology, to a deep understanding of hypnosis from a complex perspective. In the next meetings, videos, I will explain a little more about it. Thank you very much and good evening.